The top 5 mistakes that business executives make. The first mistake is leaving property or confidential information out in the open. This happens a lot. People leave their offices. They don't lock them, or they assume that people are just not going to peer into their office. They're not going to go through their desks. They're going to walk into your office. They're going to claim they were looking for you. They couldn't find you. Such and such password just happened to be around. Such important document happened to be around. And this could involve payroll records, employee records, sales contracts, loan documents, government investigation documents, audits, things like that. Don't assume that people are just going to just kind of respect your privacy in your office. Keep those things locked in a drawer where you only have the key. Number 2, using your outside network to proof or review confidential information. Now, this happens with executives who have been at this for 20, 25 years or longer, and they have a long list of helpful allies, people in their network who they can count on from previous jobs, previous assignments, and they may have questions. Might be a situation where, hey, I've got to write a memo on something, and I have my own proofreader who I've used for years. And I send the information to this person to catch grammar mistakes or things like that. Or executives use their own attorneys and ask their own attorneys. These are not lawyers paid for by the company. This is just their own group of attorneys or their own network of professionals, and they may have really good intentions in doing that. They are thinking the best for the company, but it's really not a good idea because the company is not going to be happy that their proprietary or confidential information was shared with someone they don't know. Very, very important. People get fired for that all the time or get sued. Number 3, not taking sexual harassment complaints seriously. Happens just about every year where there's some sort of holiday party. People have had a lot to drink. The executive is wishing everybody Happy New Year or so on and so forth. Gives a polite hug to all of his or her staff, and somebody gets offended. And that person then complains about the executive to HR. And if you're that executive, understand this. Even if you didn't mean anything by it, I'm sure you didn't. I have no doubt you didn't. It doesn't matter. In today's day and age, in the 21st century, you do stuff like that and someone complains about it and you ignore it and don't change your behavior, you are asking for trouble. In Washington, D.C., as it is in other jurisdictions, not true in Maryland, but in Washington, D.C., the executive can actually be sued individually by the plaintiff. So a sexual harassment plaintiff who brings a sexual harassment complaint in Washington, D.C. can also sue the executive individually, which means if the individual loses, the individual is going to have to pay a lot of money to the plaintiff. It's an attorney fee shifting statute, which means that if the company or the defendant, the individual defendant loses, generally that person will have to pay all of the plaintiff's lawyer's attorney fees throughout the litigation. You want to avoid that situation. Number 4, leaving a record of emails that you have forwarded from your company computer or email account. In general, you have to understand you're not Hillary Clinton. You cannot run your job from a private email account, and you can't share company emails with third parties. People get very, very upset about that. If you need an email or for whatever reason, use a thumb drive. Do not leave a record that you have forwarded emails to a third party, including your own home email account. Finally, texting employees inappropriately. Executives sometimes feel that the culture of texting is just different. It's more open than, for example, formal letters or even emails. Just that there's no return address on these texts doesn't matter. There is still the employer-employee relationship. Even if you're very friendly with this employee or coworkers, whatever, understand this is a business relationship, and you have to be mindful of what you are texting on your texts to these employees. These are 5 of the biggest mistakes that executives have made that I have seen, and I think that if you follow this advice, you will minimize the number of problems that you could have potentially in your office.